So what have we learned? Let's back up. If you're new here, I'm a musician in New Brunswick, Canada. I'm almost 43 years old. I've been playing in bands since I was 15, and I've had a string of odd jobs to support my music habit. Some have been music related, some have not. I'm giving myself one more year to make it work as an independent musician or go back to school, get my education degree, and get a real job. I've been tracking my results and posting them here for 3 weeks now. Last week's video was basically a montage of me being stressed out, but it revealed something very important. There's way too much for me to keep on top of. I love to do the music part of this, and I'm good at it. When I'm in the zone and it's really working, I feel like this is what I was put on earth to do. Of course, I had to work at it. It's taken a lot of sucking to get to this point, but I digress. There are a bunch of other things that also need to happen if you want to turn this inclination into a career. Someone needs to write songs, both music and lyrics. You need someone to sing the songs. You need someone to play or program every instrument on the recordings. You need someone to record the recordings, mix and master them. You need to perform the songs live. If you are the artist, that means you. And in my case, that means I do it on my own or I put a band together. For live shows when it makes sense, that also means teaching the songs to the band, being organized so that's not too hard to do because I got to pay them. Someone needs to put the songs up on the internet so the world can hear them. Sell merch. It's an important part of our revenue stream. So you got to design it, get it made, figure out how to sell it. That means putting it online. That also means figuring out how to use the apps that track inventory and cash flow and process payments and all of that, which I'm still figuring out. You got to run social media accounts. You got to create the things to post on social media. Someone needs to be the manager, publicist, booking agent, creative director. Someone needs to pay for everything. There are grants available here in Canada. We are fortunate to be able to access funding for these kinds of pursuits, but you also have to come up with a proposal and pitch it, and there's no guarantee that it's going to be approved. And then you have to track everything, submit a final report on the back end. And it's me doing all of that right now. There's not enough money coming in to keep me employed full-time, let alone anyone else. Although, of course, if you believe in the mission with the Sunnyside Uppers and you'd like to volunteer, please contact us, info@sunnysideuppers.org. Anyway, I'm okay in varying degrees at most of these jobs. I can also pretty easily come up with examples for each role of somebody who only had to do that thing and excelled, or definitely people who didn't have to do all of it. I'm pretty sure I'm a better drummer than Tom York. I'm probably a better singer than John Bonham or Buddy Rich, although who knows. I am positive I'm better at using Canva than Miles Davis ever was. But it all needs to be done. And it's way too much for me to naturally keep on top of each week. I know myself. I have ADHD. That's how my brain works. It has taken me a long time to figure this out, or to learn about it, rather. I would rather hyper-focus on one thing and do it all day. I'll work for 12 hours. Like if I'm working on a song and there's nothing else that I need to do, I will just sit there and keep picking at it, and I'll have to remember to eat at some point. If I need to keep a mental inventory of all of the different tasks, all the different jobs that need to be creeping along, and I check in with each one each week and make sure that we're on track, that's horrible for me. I find it so stressful. And so what ends up happening is I might get around to looking at each one, but that doesn't mean that it's moving forward. Are you good at, if you're in the middle of something, stopping, pressing pause, stepping back, gaining all of the perspective that you need to, and adjusting in that moment and improving? I'll give you a concrete example of this. An hour ago, I was in the living room watching, well, I wasn't really. My 4-year-old daughter was watching the Lego Batman movie, and I was trying to work on the script, and it's just hard for me. If the movie's on, I can't really concentrate on what I'm doing. But you know, she's 4, and so I was hanging out in there with her and kind of keeping an eye on the show, making sure that it's okay for her and she's okay. I realized after the movie ended that I could have just taken 5 minutes and gone to the next room and recorded my voiceover, and I wouldn't need to be doing it now. But I digress. I'm a musician. That's what I like to do and what I'm good at. And yes, that's the most important part of the job here. It's also the easiest part to minimize because I actually enjoy it, so it must not be valuable. And because a lot of the conventional wisdom for independent musicians out there says something like, "You're spending too much time on the creative part. You need to focus more on your business." Never mind the financial and logistical realities. I feel like it's like, at this point, if you're saying that, it's like, yes, we need to take ownership of the fact that like nobody is making me do music or attempt this, or nobody is making me slack off on certain things that need to be done. But I also feel like sometimes these people are gaslighting independent musicians into thinking that if only they hustled a little harder, then their whole career would work. And it's not like the entire thing is stacked against them. But, you know, if your business is selling hope to indie musicians, I can see why you wouldn't want to mention those things. All right, we're getting into the weeds a little bit. So the other big thing I learned this week is that the most important skill that you can have as an actual performer is committing to a vibe. I would say that is your number one job as an artist. And this was clear to me when I was performing and especially reviewing footage of my performance on the Fundy Rose, the ferry that travels between St. John here and Digby, Nova Scotia. I played there this week, and you're just playing like in public in the cafe. There's not a stage. There's not an MC. It's just you. And so like you have to bring the vibe yourself, but in order to do that, you have to be able to get there. I need to be able to walk into that room full of people who don't know me, who I don't know what to expect. In some cases, they don't expect anybody to be playing music, and you know, they've seen them move away from those seats when I start to set up because that's not what they're there for. So I need to, in the face of all that, be able to commit to my thing and the energy I'm trying to bring. Rick Rubin talks about this in his book, The Creative Act, where he says that the most important skill for an artist is to figure out and to know what you think in the face of like opposition or just other opinions, to be able to know what you think and you believe and you feel, and not to let that other stuff influence you. And I would agree, but I would also say the more time you spend focusing on all of these other tasks that are not the music, and the more you really internalize that message that like, oh, you got the music part, that's the thing you like to do. It's like you gotta let that go. You gotta focus on the career. When there's not a metric attached to that, when there's not like, okay, you need to spend 15 hours a week really focusing on X, Y, and Z to make sure that your career stuff is being taken care of, and you need to equally focus on the creative part. And I know why this is. It's because the people dispensing this advice usually don't put that time in on the creative part themselves because that's not their gig. They can't tell you how to do that, so they don't try to. But you can end up minimizing that part, and then when you go to perform, you're actually not able to get there because you haven't worked those muscles. And so you can actually end up undercutting yourself and like sabotaging the entire operation as a creative person, a creator, an artist, by just like not being good enough when you get there because you haven't worked on that part of it. And it's hard. So you need to make sure that your mind isn't constantly consumed with the million menial tasks that someone needs to get done. Otherwise, how can you be transcendent or incendiary? An audience responds to how you show up. You've got to own your metaphysical space. I'm not complaining or looking for sympathy. I could always just stop doing all of it. Just make music in my basement for fun, as a hobby. Sometimes I do treat it that way. You know, Seth Godin would call all of my time and equipment I've invested in a sunk cost. It's already spent. It's a gift from past me to present me. I am not obligated to accept. Anyway, if you want to do this professionally, all of those jobs do need to get done. What did we learn last week? That it's way too much. It leads to a crash and burn out. It's not sustainable. Even my video making process is unsustainable. So far, in order to get it done each Sunday, it's required marathon editing sessions at the last minute on Saturday night or even on release day. That's annoying for everyone, including me. And also, you know, as your career progresses, those are your money-making times. So I can't be relying on having Saturday night to edit video. There's too much that needs to be done every week, not enough time, and frankly, not enough interest on my end. So I need a plan. A schedule to make sure I'm dealing with everything I need to, and ideally, a plan to offload these tasks so I can focus on the thing I do best, and also the only part of this that makes the rest worthwhile, the music. I need to simplify and develop and stick to a schedule, which I hate doing. This week, I played on the Digby Ferry. I played 4 30-minute sets, 2 per direction. I spoke with Peter from Prague, spent a bunch of time figuring out how to structure this video project so it doesn't overtake everything else. I concluded that my brand needs a refresh. I hummed and hawed over this online course. I've already tried a bunch of other ones. Is it worth 130 Canadian dollars to check out someone else's perspective? Maybe. Like, will I benefit more than 130 bucks? I might. Is it where my $130 needs to go? Let's be real, on my credit card right now. I don't know. I also did some work for my other job, drove back from PEI, hung out with my kids, went to the night market, reviewed the mix of my new song, and concluded that it needs more stuff. Things are humming along, but with so many parts to maintain, it's really easy to just check in with each one, not really move it forward, and before you know it, another week is gone. Disappeared. So this week, my task is to get to the core of it. What am I really selling? Concerts, streams, t-shirts. Is there any shortage of these things in the world? Is there any shortage of these things in people's lives? Out of all the available options, why would someone choose mine? What keeps them coming back? If this isn't clear right now, what can I develop it into? Because everything else is, in the end, a distribution tactic. What am I bringing to the table? I've got some ideas, but I got to keep digging to flesh them out. Do you know?